Welcome everyone to the Sports Chat Network. And today in this video, we're recapping UFC 317. What an amazing card. This was excellent. This was probably card of the year. That or UFC 314 in Miami. Although, no, I might pick this one so far. This might be better. But yeah, I think 317 is slightly better than 314 at the moment. Yeah, now I think about it. But man, this was an awesome card. We needed a card like this. It delivered. It was fantastic. The prelims were excellent. The main card was great. Fight a year contender in the flyweight division. Ilia Topuria does it again. Another knockout over a legend. And you see the title of the video. It's in Spanish because Ilia Topuria obviously lives in Spain, speaks Spanish. His nickname is El Matador, and he changed his nickname to La Leyenda, the legend. But he knocks out Volkanovski, he knocks out Holloway, and then he knocks out Charles Oliveira. Three legends, three Hall of Famers, all-time greats. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm his nickname is Asesino de leyenda. Asesino de leyenda, excuse me. I don't know why I keep butchering that for the killer part in Spanish. Asesino de leyenda is Ilia Topuria, which is legend killer in Spanish. I mean, some people are calling him that, but no one's calling him Spanish. And I'm gonna call him that. Asesino de leyenda. I mean, you have to call him that at this point. He's. I saw a post compare him to Randy Orton in WWE. For wrestling fans, if you remember, Randy Orton when he came up, he was known as the Legend Killer. He was beating up the legends in WWE. And Ilia Topuria is the real life version. He's knocked out he's beat three legends. If Islam hadn't gone up and he would beat Islam, he would definitely 100% solidified himself as the Legend Killer. Although he already did with this performance against Charles Oliveira, which we'll talk about. But man, yeah, man, Ilya, gotta call him that. Asesino de leyenda. Have to call him that. Asesino de leyenda. I'm saying it a few times just to make sure I nail it down. I gotta learn more Spanish, obviously. Unfortunately, I don't know Spanish, but yeah, man, it's a Topuria. We'll talk. I'll talk about him when we get there. But prelim, I'll talk quick prelim talk real quick because there were some great performances. Like Jacoby Smith got a good victory over Nico Price in the prelims. We got Terrence McKean, that impressive first round submission over Borshoff. I think it was like a minute into the fight. He got like a he got I forget what was it, Darce? It might have been a Darce choke on Borshoff. Borshoff had tapped immediately. Jacoby Smith got a second round submission over Nico Price, just dominated Nico Price before that, like I mentioned. And then you got Jose Delgado getting that impressive knockout with that knee over Hadir Amil. And at first it looked controversial because Emil got up immediately, but I kind of understand why Gar stopped the fight because Emil gets hit with that knee from Delgado. He falls down, and then Delgado hits him like 2 ground and pounds. Like that first elbow he lands, he goes out. Like you see his eyes kind of like roll back, like he was out from watching the replay, and Goddard saw it. And then that other elbow, Delgado hits and it kind of wakes up Emil. Emil gets up immediately after Gar steps in. But and I get a part of me, part of me kind of would prefer if maybe the fight continue on because I don't like early stoppages personally. I think it's better. Me personally, I'd rather be a little late stoppage than an early stoppage. I know people say, "Well, fire safety and all this." I understand that, but at the end of the day, these are fighters. They chose this profession. They know what they got themselves into. It's better to it's better to know a guy's out than freaking a fight gets stopped prematurely, and then there's controversy, and then it takes away from the performance of the other guy, and it kind of like puts an asterisk in the fight. But in this situation, watching replay, I think Delgado got the clear victory, and it was a good call by Mark Goddard. Especially you watch the replay and that first follow up elbow that Delgado lands on a mill, kind of like really puts. You can tell he was out from that one, and that other one probably kind of woke him up. But yeah, that was a good stoppage. Part of me wish Gar would let it continue a little bit more because Mark Gar does have a history of stopping fights prematurely. Unfortunately, if you look at some of his fights, so there's also that element. But Gar had a good performance. Gotta give him credit. And then we'll transition from the main performance, a main fight, or main performance of the prelim, not because of the main event, but because of what happened. And fishing is talked about as well. That is Gregory Robocop Rodriguez gets the brutal knockout over Jack Hermanson. Oh my, wow, this was crazy, man. He freaking catches it. First of all, Jack Hermanson was doing all right early on. He actually had cut RoboCop. RoboCop like cuts. He was bleeding, but the fight kept going. Hermanson's strike just became predictable, and RoboCop just kept pressuring him. I was watching with my brother, and my brother mentioned that he's like, "Oh man, Hermanson's gonna get caught eventually." Like he said, like 20 seconds, I believe, or before the knockout. Like it was right before, it was close to the knockout. Then Rodriguez hits him with that left. That I think it was, they said it was uppercut, but it looked like a hook. Maybe it was an uppercut. Gotta rewatch it again. He just catches him perfectly and just drops freaking Hermanson. Hermanson's out immediately, like that, like ow. Immediately, his head hit the back of the canvas, really knock him out. And then RoboCop hits him in that follow-up shot before Herb Dean steps in. And wow. I'm glad Gregory Rodriguez got the performance bonus because he deserved it with that knockout, because that was brutal. Knockout of the year contender right there. Probably the most brutal knockout of Gregory Rodriguez's career. And there's a controversy in terms of RoboCop throwing that follow-up shot, because you watched it, Hermanson was out. When he hit the floor, he was out completely, Hermanson. And people thought, oh, RoboCop shouldn't have not thrown that punch. He was out. But RoboCop said it himself that it's not his job to stop fighting. It's the referee's job. Basically, that Herb Dean didn't step in, and I'm trying to remember how he said it, RoboCop in the post fight press conference, because I agree with RoboCop. I think no one should be criticizing RoboCop at all. I think it's crazy to criticize Gregory Rodriguez for what he did, because Herb Dean was too far away. Herb Dean didn't step in. By the time Herb Dean stepped in there, RoboCop threw a punch. If Herb Dean was closer to the action, Herb Dean could have stepped in, and RoboCop wouldn't have to throw the punch, because RoboCop was saying that, look, it's my job to keep fighting until the rep tells me to stop. And that's something I believe too. I'm in agreement with RoboCop. If you're a fighter, you have to keep fighting until the rep tells you to stop, or touches you, or steps into you and your opponent. Because you can't just stop fighting because you think a guy's out, because a guy may not be out. Ref may tell you to keep fighting, and then momentum's killed off. You might let a guy off the hook, and then next thing you know, you might get finished. IKA like Jalen Turner and Renato Moicano back in UFC 300, where Jalen Turner thought he had a walk-off knockout, but the ref told him to keep fighting. Moicano wasn't out, and then Moicano the next round finishes him. And his other performances too, where a fighter just stops fighting, and then the ref tells him to keep going, and they lose. And I know people are going to say, well, Hermanson was clear out. There was he was clear out. Yes, I understand that, but also you gotta keep fighting till the ref tells you to stop. Just gotta keep going in that situation. And plus, Jack Hermanson, if people are gonna say, well, Jack's team unnecessary damage. Yeah, but it's a fight. And RoboCop mentioned it. Jack, Jack and him agreed to fight each other. They both understand that, hey, these things can happen. Certain stuff like this, they can get knocked down, brutalized. I mean, RoboCop in his last fight got knocked out by Jay Cannonier. Let's not forget that. And that and RoboCop's saying, if the roles were reversed, he wouldn't be upset with Jack. He would understand, hey, Jack's doing his job. And I agreed. RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez was doing his job, and he landed the shot. The referee, Herb Dean, who has a history of this, being too far away from the action, was too far away and wasn't able to stop the fight in time before RoboCop could throw a follow-up shot. There's several fights with Herb Dean recently where he's been too far away from the fighters, and been freaking and guys have been going and guys have thrown shots to where their opponent was out, and Herb was too far away, to where if Herb was closer, he could have stepped in before, and where the fighter wouldn't have thrown those follow-up shots. So this is clearly Herb Dean's fault. Herb Dean should have been a lot closer to the action. I just think don't be too close, because then you won't have a good vantage point. But at the same time, these are middleweights. These aren't flyweights who are fast as fuck. These are middleweights, or aren't that fast. It's not like if you get too close, you might get caught in the action. At the same time, like you got Herb Dean referees, you got to be a little closer to the fight, to the fighters, so that way something like that happens, you can step in and do something and stop the fight before guys take quote unnecessary damage. But yeah, great performance by Gregory Rodriguez. Amazing performance. As I take a sip of water and then I'll talk about the main card. Okay, so main card. Payton Talbott beats Felipe Lima via decision. Payton Talbot's takedown defense was improved compared to the Honey Barcelos fight. Payton Talbot like stuffed 12 of Felipe Lima's 15 takedowns, looked better. And we got taken down. He actually didn't look like a fish out of water. He actually was able to get up from several positions. Like I think the second round he got taken down, he got up and he got up like not too long afterwards and used defense to get up and actually reverse position. In some of the takedowns, he actually reversed position and actually got in top position and actually did work with ground and pound, with some shot, somewhat ground and pound. Like he landed some shots on top, but not like a lot. There's one point where they were in north south position and Payton Talbot like was punching like his stomach and stuff, like trying to like do damage to actually score points and for the judges in that position. And Payton Talbot striking, he landed some good shots on Felipe Lima too. Like this fight was mostly about Talbot doing stuffing a lot of takedowns and also also when Lima failed takedowns, doing some work in the clinch. And Payton Talbot improved. Good job. Had a good performance. The hype train somewhat back on him. And this is good because Payton Talbot is only 26. He's 10-1 now. He has a shot to. He's obviously going to improve and get better. He's 26, and he clearly worked on his takedown defense in the 5 months since the Harney Barcelos fight. And this was good. And this was a good performance. Nice bounce back victory for him. I like the call out of Adrian Yanez. I think it's a good matchup considering both guys are some of the better strikers, and it is a somewhat step up of competition from Payton Talbot. I'd say somewhat because Felipe Lima is a good fighter. He was on a good win streak. He was 14-1 coming to this fight, and it and plus he tested him in the grappling, whereas Yanez is just going to strike with him. Yanez is a very good boxer, good striker. He was ranked at one point. Yanez, he's a little bit outside the rankings too, and it'll be a fun matchup and it's a smart call out from Payton Talbot. I'd like to see that fight hopefully soon. Hopefully UFC makes it because that'll be a fun fight. And plus, yeah, it's a good step in the right direction for Payton Talbot. Although one that I do want to mention is that Lima Lima. Now I'm thinking about it. Lima, even though Payton Talbot had good takedown defense, part was because Lima was going for these ridiculous takedowns. He was trying to go instead of going for simple takedowns, he tried doing like creative, like unorthodox takedowns. Like he was like trying too hard to where when he actually went for simple takedowns, he actually got them. Like he was trying to do a little too much, and it kind of made it easier for Payton Talbot after a while to not get taken down because Lima just kept going for these complex takedowns instead of just regular like simple double leg takedowns. So that did help Payton Talbot as well, but also Lima kept making that same mistake of going for these unorthodox and like advanced complex takedowns. I don't like. I feel like he's gonna. I know he's gonna be kicking himself watching the footage of this fight, knowing that he fucked up that way. So I do want to mention that because if you go back and watch that, you can kind of see he was doing that. So Felipe Lima did make a mistake there by instead of just going for simple takedowns. He might have more success getting takedowns. Now we have kept Payton Talbot down, maybe not. Who knows? But Payton Talbot, when he was taken down, got up from those in reverse positions. Well, so there's improvement from Payton Talbot, like I mentioned earlier, but also same time, Felipe Lima did make a mistake by not going for simple takedowns, but just going for these complex, convoluted like takedowns as well. That also hurt Felipe Lima. But yeah, good performance by Payton Talbot. Hopefully, him and Yanez next. They need to. I would like to see that fight personally. As we transition from that fight to the next fight, which is Beneil Dariush getting the Yanez decision victory over Renato Moicano in the lightweight division. Beneil won like 13 minutes of this fight, maybe 13 minutes and 30 seconds, 14 minutes. Like Renato Moicano, this was not a great performance by Renato Moicano. This was bad. Renato Renato outside of the end of the first round, I don't recall him doing anything significant, like truly to Beneil Dariush. And I picked Beneil to win, by the way, because I thought Beneil was better than him. But I thought it was gonna be a somewhat competitive where early on it's gonna be close, competitive, and then Beneil was gonna pull away. But Beneil just looked that much better than Renato Moicano. I'm kind like this was surprising. Like I said, Renato did drop Beneil in the end of the first round, like the final minute or so. And I did not expect that. I thought Beneil was going to drop because not Hinato, Beneil, excuse me, it has a good power in his punches, and he did drop Gamrot, and he's had ability to knock guys out with his shots. But yeah, Hinato, who's not known for power in his hands, dropped Beneil, and Beneil was able to survive. He immediately grabbed a hold of Dariush, not Dariush, Hinato's leg, and was trying to avoid, getting hit with additional ground and pound and damaging shots, and did a good job there. And before that, Dariush was doing well in striking. He landed some good leg kicks. There was a leg kick he landed in Hinato where Hinato fell down. But Hinato got immediately. It looked like a very damaging leg kick. And, Hinato did check one leg kick, and Dariush kind of fell off balance. But Dariush did better leg kicks, body kicks, striking. And in rounds 2 and 3, Dariush basically was basically going for takedowns and takedowns. And at first, Hinato stuffed a lot, some of the takedowns, but then eventually got taken down. And Dariush was able to hold him down and be able to wrestle him and do a lot of work in the wrestling, grappling exchanges to where Hinato didn't have much of an answer. And then like in the third round, Hanato got taken down, but Hanato was able to get up, and there was a point where they were both standing for like the last minute or so, and then Hanato, who was clearly down in round 3, for some odd reason decides to go for a takedown. I don't understand why. It was a dumb decision by Hanato Moicano. It was very very stupid on his part to go for a takedown when he's clearly losing that round and the fight in like the final 15 seconds. I don't know if Renato didn't know how many seconds were left in the round or what, but that was just dumb. And Renato, after the round was over, was putting his hand up thinking he won, which I don't know how he thought he won. Dariush clearly was better than him every facet of the game. Striking, kicking. By strike, I mean with the hands. Grappling, wrestling, like he did a good job. Like Hinato's good at grappling. That's why Hinato was never in true danger of getting submitted or like really ground and pound because Hinato's a very good grappler himself, but Dariush was just better. He was just better all around. This was a you must have forgot performance by Dariush to remind everyone that he's still one of the better lightweights. Despite being older, he's still one of the better lightweights, in terms of being a top 10 lightweight. And I like Hinato Moicano. I'm a fan, but man, this was bad. This was a horrible performance by him. Just terrible. And that sucks because I like Hinato Moicano, but I like Dariush because I respect him. Good fighter, good personality. It's Hinato's a good fighter and great personality. Different, obviously, from Dariush, but still, man, that sucked. That was tough to see Hinato lose like that. And plus, it seemed like after Hinato gassed out after like the second round. During the second round, he gassed out when he was like stuffing like some of the takedown attempts from Dariush. So you could kind of see his like energy drain, like started breathing through his mouth more, and that gas tank went away. It really killed Hinato, or lack of, basically, with the takedown attempts from Dariush, especially in the second and third round for Hinato. But yeah, good comeback victory for Dariush. Breaks a 2-fight losing streak, and Dariush still good. Like I say, his last 2 losses were to Charles Oliveira and Arman Sarukian, 2 of the 3 best lightweights currently. And Oliveira is still one of the best lightweights in the world, despite what happened in the main event, which obviously we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about. But you get what I mean. But yeah, good performance from Dariush. Well, I don't know what's next for Dariush. I don't know if they give him maybe. I'm trying to think, who did they give him? Maybe not Holloway if he beats Dustin. Maybe a Charles rematch. Maybe they could do that. I don't know. Maybe that's just my thoughts. What's next for him? But anyway, congrats to Beneil Dariush. Which from that fight to the next fight, which is the flyweight division, no more contender fight. The winner of this fight was going to, Dana White said, would get the next title shot, and Joshua Van earns himself a flyweight championship fight with his victory over Brandon Royval. And wow, fight of the year contender, fight of the year so far. Oh my goodness! Oh my, this was insane. What a fight! What an amazing fight! What a performance by Joshua Van. And somebody said this, like, actually, I'm trying to remember who I saw. Yeah, I watched Horse Beef MMA's review of this card, and he said this fight was like a Dragon Ball Z fight. It really was like a real life Dragon Ball Z fight where guys just trading punches back and forth to the head, and like some case the body and knees. Like if you ever watch a Dragon Ball Z fight and then watch this fight, you can see the similarities between this and Dragon Ball Z. This was an amazing fight, maybe the best flyweight fight ever, potentially. This was insane, man. Joshua Van, this guy fought 3 weeks earlier in UFC 316, New Jersey. Takes the fight on short notice because Manel Cap pulls out. Fights Brandon Royval, who's number one ranked flyweight, a title eliminator, and beats him. Which I said Joshua Van was gonna win because Joshua Van, he got hit he got hit with shots, especially in that second round and early in the third round. Joshua Van was able to for the most part, like not. I mean, he took some damage, but Joshua Van didn't take as much as freaking Brandon Royval, where Joshua Van packs a power in his hands, and he's able to catch Royval with right hooks and overhand rights to Royval. Every time, especially when Royval would try to get close, he would just throw a counter right hook or counter right to catch Royval and hurt him badly, and he did that a lot in this fight. Round one, he wins by that. He wins by being the better boxer and catching Royval, especially when Royval tried to close the distance. Round two, arguably could have gone to Royval, but I also understand why you give it Joshua Van because Royval was able to start pressuring more and like pressing the pace and actually landing shots on Joshua Van. But Van did land a lot of like counter rights and counter lefts, especially counter rights to Brandon Royval. And every time he landed on Royval would be rocked. Clearly, be rocked. Like his punches packed more of a punch than his punches packed more of a punch. Not to, it sounds too redundant. I'm trying to think of a better term. So his punches have more pop to them than Royval's. You know, Royval did land a lot. He outlanded Joshua Van, but Van did more damage with his shots. And it wasn't by much Royval outlanded Joshua Van, if I remember correctly, the total stats. But round two could have arguably gone to Brandon Royval. But it could easily gone Joshua Van because Van did land a lot of good counters and did hurt Royval with shots. And in the third round, man, back and forth, both guys are landing like and both guys didn't. Both guys, there was no takedown attempts in this fight. Not one guy shot a takedown. There was some clinch work from Royval. Royval did go for a clinch a couple of times, and Royval was trying to throw knees, and he landed like maybe like one or two. But even when he did land, Joshua Van, every time they got in clinch, would just throw body shots at Brandon Royval because Royval is a taller fighter, and so he used that to. So Joshua Van used Royval's height to his advantage and Royval's disadvantage with that and the clinch work by throwing a lot of knees and by throwing a lot of punches and stuff to the body of Brandon Royval, and did a great job with those shots. And then the final 10 seconds after both got the crowd standing cheering because they're witnessing an amazing fight. Joshua Van catches him with a right that drops Royval and that secures him the fight and that secures him the round and the fight. I thought Joshua Van was winning the round prior to that knockdown, but that right there solidified it and sealed him a title fight. As Joshua Van just went out there and freaking Joshua Van drops him and then like tries to go for ground and pound, like lands like one, but Royval does a good job of not getting hit with any more damaging shots for the most part. And man, what a fight. I'm not doing this fight justice, unfortunately. This was amazing. Like, if you haven't seen this, which I doubt, but if you haven't, go watch this fight. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. Find a way to watch it because this is one of the best fights of the year. One of the best fights I've ever seen in flyweight. This was amazing. These guys, man, I forgot. These guys drew like, how many strikes they drew like a record. Hang on, let me check the strikes these two drew in total because it's something crazy. Royval drew 468 strikes. Joshua Van 311. So these guys drew 700 strikes in 3 rounds. Joshua Van was more accurate with his strikes than Brandon Royval. Royval just drew more and used the pace, but at the same time, Van was more accurate, and that's what won the fight, like I mentioned. Even though like Van did get hit with some shots as Royval was pushing the pace and landing on Van, but freaking Van was more accurate and freaking doing good with the counters, man. This was an amazing fight. Back and forth. Both guys trading the pocket at times. Some punches in the clinch. Some Royval tried to throw some knees. He landed like one or two, like I mentioned. And then of course Van just his shots had more power, and he dropped Royval in the final 10 seconds. It was just amazing. What a fucking fight! Amazing fight. Joshua Van's earned this title fight. Joshua Van a month ago, I don't think was ranked if I remember correctly, or he might have been like maybe 10, not 10, but like 15 around there. This guy fought twice in a month, in 3 weeks, and got himself a title fight. Matter of fact, Joshua Van this year has actually fought 3 times this year alone in 6 months. And if you go back to December, he's fought 4 times. Go out and think about it. And since it's no, actually, since July of last year, so July 13th, 2024, he in fight night, and I think that was in Canada, I believe, or somewhere. It was I remember Macy Barber and Rose Namajunas main event that fight night. He lost that fight to Charles Johnson, which is a fight he did well early on, but I forgot. I think he got tired, and I'm trying to remember how he lost that fight. I forget what caused him to lose, but Charles Johnson's a good fighter. So he loses that fight, and then in September beats Edgar Chavez on freaking the Spirit card, which I do remember. Then beats Cody Durden in December UFC 310. So that's two. So that's 3 fights in 2024 from July to now to end of 2024, and then this year he fights 3 times. So in less than 12 months, this man has 6 fights. He's fought 5-1, 5-5 win streak. I just got Joshua Van. You are becoming one of my new favorite fighters. You're becoming a lot of people's favorite fighters. You're becoming one of my own. Exciting fighter, great fighter, fun to watch, fight active, entertaining, young too. By the way, he's 23 years old. By the way, Joshua Van. He's 23 years old. Had a chance to be a champion by the end of the year potentially. I don't know if he will because we're talking about Pantoja, which I'm gonna talk about in a minute. But man, this dude at 23 fought 6 times in a year, 5-1, and he's beating some good competition too. Bruno Silva, he finished. Who was ranked 2. He beat Ray Cerulia in the beginning of the year. Took his undefeated streak. He beat Brandon Royval obviously this past weekend. 2024, he beat a solid Cody Durden, which is a very good good fighter B who's unranked in that division. I mean, Joshua Van is phenomenal. Joshua Van is amazing, a fun fighter to watch. This guy, man, I just can't praise him enough. Joshua Van. He had a chance to be the first Burmese fighter to be a UFC champion too. This is amazing. I was just checking to see anything else Joshua Van's looking up. This guy's a greght fighter, man. Fun fighter to watch. Good personality. 23, young. He's gonna be around for a while, and he has a chance to do something historic. Well, somewhat historic because he won't be the youngest champion in UFC history if he does fight Pantoja, let's say December, but he'll be one of the youngest champs ever. And this guy, man, wow. Joshua Van, you are amazing. And shout out to Brandon Royval too for taking this fight. He could have easily said no. He could have easily gone for takedowns to try and make the fight boring, but nah, he decided to stand and trade, which Royval is more of a striker than he's a grappler, to be fair. He has grappling, but striking is more of his thing, and he stood and kept the fight standing up and had his moments. Like I said, RB1 round 2, landed a lot of shots on Joshua Van, drew more on Joshua Van, and try to use his pace and drawing more to try to tire Joshua Van, but it didn't work because Van mentioned going into the fight that guys follow Brandon Royval because they panic because of his pressure. Joshua Van says he's not going to panic; he's just going to stay calm and just go out there and do his thing, and that's what he did, and he worked, and he got and he won this fight, and he's fighting for the freaking title, the freaking flyweight championship, and if he does beat Pantoja somehow, he'll be fired of the year in my opinion. If he does, that's if. But shout out to Joshua Van, shout out to Brandon Royval for taking this fight and putting on a great performance. I look forward to Brandon Royval's next fight for sure. We're all gonna look forward to it. Royval is a great fighter. So is Joshua Van. Man, what a fight! Awesome. Check it out if you haven't watched it because this was amazing. This is to both guys. Clap my hand. Ovation as I clap my hands for both of you. I'm gonna do this again for Pantoja and his performance because Alexandre Pantoja freaking went out there and freaking beat Kai France in his fight via submission, third round. Pantoja looked so much better than Kai France. I said he was gonna win. I thought by decision, but oh my, Pantoja went out there and just outclassed him. He charged at Kai France and landed some shots and strike exchange, some punches and strike exchange for taking him down with like what a minute, within a minute 30 seconds, somewhere around there, and took him down and just. At one point, it looked like he had an arm triangle, and I thought that looked like he almost had it. Like, I was like, "Oh shit, he's gonna submit Kai France in the first round arm triangle? No way!" Kai France did a good job defending it, but Pantoja just dominated him. First two in the grappling exchanges, went for Pantoja went out there and just did work in the grappling submission attempts, took him down with ease, and freaking even before, like I mentioned, he just pressured Kai France and like went at him. Basically, tried to take away Kai France's early advantage, where Kai France has the ability to knock guys out. Like all Kai France's knockouts or first round knockouts, so he took that away immediately. And then just did the same thing in round two, where Kai did a good job stopping some of the takedowns, and Kai did land some punches, but Pantoja just ate them like nothing. Like Pantoja has a great chin, like that. Despite leaving his chin up the air at times, he has a great chin. And he lands some good strikes as well. Pantoja, he has a very awkward like striking style, but it's effective and it works. And he does land on his opponents. He does a good job there. And in the third round, he takes Kai down and just begin the end. Like just I forgot. Like I'm trying to remember. It don't matter when he took him down. He takes him down third round. He gets the rear naked choke and submits him. And at first, Kai was trying to fight the hands, but it was just inevitable that Kai was gonna tap. Like it just, like it's part of me. I just knew like, oh, Kai's in trouble. Like Kai was trying to fight the hands, but Pantoja already had like the rear naked choke, kind of like this almost like Kai was just trying to like fight. Like Kai was trying to fight the hands, but Pantoja already had it like this. So, and Pantoja has a tight squeeze. He was kind of like face cranking Royval, not Royval, excuse me, Kai France. So he was basically like trying. It basically was only a matter of time for Pantoja got the submission and choked out freaking Kai France, and and choked him out. Just beat him up, choked him out, and Pantoja retains the belt. Has his fourth successful title defense. And Pantoja, man, this guy is great. He's a great fighter, and I'm tired of the disrespect Pantoja gets. This man is one of the best fighters in the world. The fact he's ranked so low in pound for pound list is a bullshit. Is bullshit. Bullshit decision by the UFC. This guy is top 5, top 3 pound for pound fighters. This guy's cleared out his entire division almost. Like thank God, Joshua Van beat freaking Brandon Royval, who has new fresh blood for Pantoja, because everyone else he's beaten already. He beat Kai France. I mean, you can say twice because the Ultimate Fighter they fought and he beat Kai France, but it doesn't count. He beat Brandon Moreno twice, technically 3 times. Count the Ultimate Fighter. He beat Brandon Royval twice. He's beat who else he beat? He just beat Kaya Sakura. I'm trying to remember. I think he beat Tim Elliott, who's ranked. I'm trying to remember who else he's beat. He's beating basically everyone. Matt Chanel, all the top flyweights. He's beating all of them. Manel Cabby beat once. Yeah, he's just beating everybody except for Joshua Van. That's why we're so hyped for him and Van, because it's a fresh matchup. Van did what he did, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, and it's a brand new, and it's a young guard versus the old established guard between Van and Pantoja. But Pantoja's almost cleared the entire division. He's had some impressive victories. He's clearly better than most of these guys in his division, and yet he's ranked below guys like Jack Del Molina and Dricus Duplessis, who I like. I like them both, but Pantoja should be ranked higher than those two for sure, and ranked higher than Alex Pereira. I checked the UFC rank pound for pound rankings, and I saw he was ranked below those 3 guys. I'm like, how? In what world? In what world? Like that makes no sense. 0 sense. I'm trying to see if he moved up. Pantoja. Wait, did he move up? I'm trying to see. Hang on. No, he has not moved up yet. I forget Tuesdays when they freaking they update the list. But yeah, he should not be behind freaking Alex Pereira, Jack Del Molina, or Dricus Duplessis. He should be ahead of those guys. The only guys that you can argue have who are ahead of him are Islam Merab, Ilia, and maybe Tom Aspinall. That's it. Everyone else, no. Magomed Ankalaev should be ahead of. Volkanovski even should be ahead of. And I love Volk. Volk is Volk, but if you look at recent performances versus between the two, Pantoja has a better resume recently. I'm talking about recently than Volk in terms of the last 5 fights for each guy. Now, honestly, historically, Volkanovski is Volkanovski. His resume is better than freaking Pantoja's at the moment. But Pantoja's having a Hall of Fame resume himself. He will be in the Hall of Fame when his career's over, and he's actually challenging Demetrius Johnson for the greatest flyweight of all time. Now he's not there yet. I think beating Joshua Van would definitely help his case more if he does beat Joshua Van. But right now he's in the top elite flyweights of all time. Like DJ's still number 1, and then he might be number 2. Yeah, I'm debating between him and Figueiredo because Figueiredo did beat Pantoja. Let's not people forget that. I think that was actually his last loss was to Davison Figueiredo. But if he beat Joshua Van, might have to put him ahead of Figueiredo despite that, just because he's been in the division longer and he's beating more guys than Figueiredo did. Now Figueiredo did beat some good amount of fighters, but he had a quadrilogy with Brandon Moreno where he fought Brandon Moreno like 4 times. It's like his last 4 flyweight fights were against Brandon Moreno, Figueiredo. So Pantoja would find different guys and being a bunch of different guys and keep doing that and having more of a legacy of flyweight to me can put him ahead of Figueiredo, especially if he beats Joshua Van. But great performance by Pantoja, just dominate Kai Kara France like that, looking better than ever. This was an awesome performance by him. I'm a big Pantoja fan. I like Pantoja. I can't wait for him and Van. Woo wee, let's go. What Pantoja said he wants to do in December, and I think that's perfect because Joshua Van was in the war, gives him time to recover. December, the end of the year is perfect. It has us to get us hyped for the fight. I mean, no, you could do November if you want MSG. I wouldn't mind that either. Still enough time for Van to recover and get ready for the fight. But December, I think, is very ideal in Vegas. A lot of hype. One of the more anticipated flyweight fights in UFC history. And man, I love that face-off they did where Pantoja called Van because Joshua Van was actually watching the fight cage side, and Pantoja called him out, called him to the cage for them to face off, and they did, and it was a great, it was a great freaking performance. It was a great moment between the two, amazing face off. They had a very intense face off early on. It got me hyped. Look, if you have a chance, just go UFC, play Alexandre Pantoja post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, and it'll show like the face off. It was incredible, man. That got me hyped. I can't wait for Van and Pantoja. And I think Pantoja probably is gonna win. I'm leaning towards him, but we'll see when the fight gets announced, get closer to the fight, if I still feel that way. But I wouldn't be surprised if Pantoja loses, though, because Joshua Van might be able to do it. But I got to trust Pantoja just because who he is, who he's beaten, and plus he has the ability to challenge Van's grappling in a way no one's been able to so far. He has the ability to do that. We'll see. Either way, great performance by Pantoja. I spent a lot of time talking about this fight, but you can't blame me because a lot happened. And plus, I want Pantoja to get the respect he deserves. I almost slammed my hand on the table, but this guy deserves his respect. Great fighter, man. Shout out to Alexandre Pantoja. As we change from that fight to the main event, Ilia Topuria freaking knocks out Charles Oliveira in the first round, and wow. Wow, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. Wow. Can't believe he had to pause my video there, check something, but say I'm always doing that in these videos recently. But anyway, Asesino de leyenda did it again, man. Ilia Topuria, the legend killer. Man, I thought Charles had a chance. I picked Charles to win, which was stupid on my part. I just thought people were underestimating Charles a little too much. I feel like there was things Charles could do to exploit Ilia, But one thing Charles did that I wanted to see him do was he actually went for a takedown Ilia Topuria, but Topuria was able to do well and actually get in top position. I think he actually took Charles down. Oh no, I'm trying to remember. I think Charles took him down, but then Ilia reversed position and actually did well and actually had him in side control like a crucifix. And I was like, oh, okay, Ilia passed that test. Because I was wondering, what happens if someone takes Ilia down? How does he do in lightweight? And Charles is a great opponent to do that, and it's a great opportunity to see what Ilia does. And Ilia did well. He reversed position, got top control, side control, and crucifix. Did well. Charles had a leg lock for a brief moment. I thought, but then Ilia got out of it with nothing, and then they stood up to Charles land his back for like 30 seconds. And Ilia Topuria in the beginning of the fight, they both landed some good shots overall. Ilia landed a couple of shots in the striking exchange before Charles went for the takedown attempt in that fight. Both guys landed some strikes. Ilia took the punch as well. Give him credit. He took the punch as well. Charles, it's hard, but Ilia did a good job. And Ilia did land some strikes of his own. And Charles did land a leg kick. And one thing I wish he would have kept throwing leg kicks, Charles. I don't know why he didn't keep doing that. Because Ilia has a very heavy boxing stance. And the way to attack it is to throw leg kicks. Volkanovski was doing that well in round one in their fights. And then Volk won that round one in their fight because of leg kicks and jabs. Now I know, and I feel like Charles could have kept throwing leg kicks just to slow Ilia down, just give him something to think about, but he didn't do it. And especially if you want to counter Ilia's pressure, throwing leg kicks is a great way to do it, especially if you're a good leg kicker, you hit and your kicks are hard. But Charles didn't do that. And Ilia did a good job. And then Ilia freaking just landed that beautiful right that freaking rocked Charles. And then and Charles was out, but then Ilia landed like a left in his combination that caught Charles, and then Charles just went out. Or I think his head hit his knee when he was falling. It looked like it did. I'm not sure it did, but then he was out like this, and Ilia hit one follow-up shot, and it was over. Like, I was stunned silence because Charles Oliveira, yes, has lost. He's been finished, but he's never been knocked out like that. He's never been knocked out. If you look at his other knockout, his quote losses, they were TKOs. They were never knockout. Islam submitted him. He didn't finish it. He didn't knock him out. And Armin Surkin beat him by decision. So Charles Oliveira hasn't been TKO'd or KO'd in a long time. It's been a long time since then. And Ilia Topuria did something I did not expect him to do. That was to knock him out that early and that convincing in the first round. Ilia Topuria, man, I doubt him going this fight just because I thought Charles was going to be the toughest fight of his career, and plus Ilia Topuria did change camps like a month, like around a month and a half ago, or early May, late April, he changed camps. Like, there was a report that came out. I thought, man, changing camps this close to your biggest fight of your career, actually changed from a camp that got you to the top in featherweight. I thought that was a little risky. I thought that could hurt Ilia, but it didn't. Ilia went out there, did his thing, man. Ilia Topuria did it again, man. Asesino de leyenda did it again, man. It was amazing. Volkanovski knockout. Holloway, the first guy to knock out Holloway. And then he knocks out Charles. Ilia is special, man. He is special. He's people don't like him knocking out their favorite fighters, but man, at some point, there's some people who've been converted to Ilia fans because how amazing he looks. Ilia Topuria calls his shots and delivers. He was telling Charles, "Look, I'm sorry, what I'm about to do to you, man. I'm sorry, man. I like you. I don't want to do this to you." And then freaking Friday night, he was celebrating. Literally, there was a video of him and his camp and his family all celebrating at like a restaurant. And the caption on his Instagram says, "Celebrating the victory." And he freaking does it. Like, this man predicts he's so confident and cocky. He backs it up. It's amazing. Like, how do you not respect Ilia for what he does? Like, how? Ilia goes out there and backs it up. He looked good. He looked strong enough to deal with Charles' grappling, and he was able to freaking take Charles Oliveira's shots, and his power does translate in lightweight. He knocks Charles Oliveira out badly. Just brutal knockout. like a semi knockout of the year contender. It's gonna be up there, but Gregory Rodriguez and knockout Hermansson's to me the more of the knockout of the year contender. It's a little more so, but Ilia Topuria and Charles knockout or Charles deserves to be knockout of the year contender. They both deserve it. I'm gonna say that. Both of them deserve it. Ilia Topuria, man, I doubted him before. I doubted him in this fight. I doubted against Volkanovski. Now Holloway, I did not. I thought he was gonna win. I didn't expect him to knock out Holloway, but I thought he was gonna beat him by decision, and I was wrong there. In terms of decision, I was right that Ilia was gonna win, but not by decision though. But I was wrong about the decision part. But still, Ilia did a great job in these fights, man. These three victories in a row are maybe three of the best victories a fighter's ever had in his career. Like, you think about it, like, how many fighters had 3 victories like Ilia Topuria against these guys? Not only against these guys, but finishing all 3 of them and calling it shots too. Like, who else has done this? Who? This guy's a star. His video with Charles Oliveira has, what was it, like probably 10 million views at this point as I'm recording this video. It's insane. Like, Ilia is a legitimate star, not just in Spain or Georgia, but globally, even in the rest of Europe, here in America. He talks the talk, walks the walk, man. This guy, it's like Conor McGregor. I know some people crap on him because they feel like he's a ripoff of Conor McGregor, which I understand. You know, the back tattoo, the chest tattoo with his logo and like the animal, the whole stealing the belt from in his first, like the press conference right before his first title fight, like McGregor did with Aldo, and then he did with Volkanovski. I understand that, but Ilia it's similar to McGregor. You know what he is? He's sampling McGregor, or he's taking for inspiration from rather. Like, he's clearly influenced by McGregor, but he's different. Like, his trash talk is a little different. His demeanor is different from McGregor's, and yeah, it's like those things are a little bit different. And he's adding his own. And he has his own twist. He's not exactly a copycat McGregor. He's doing his own thing. That makes sense. Like he's definitely influenced by McGregor clearly, but he's doing his own thing. It's like doing that or like sampling. Like, in hip hop, how you sample songs. But the great hip hop producers able to sample it, but make it their own, like Kanye West as a producer, or like Timbaland, or Pharrell. Well, Pharrell doesn't really sample, but guys like that, or like Jay Dilla did with The Light for Common, how he sampled that Bobby Caldwell song, but yet he made like his own song, kind of like stuff like that. It's like Ilia's like sampling McGregor, but he's making it his own by putting his own flair to it and doing his own thing to where it's Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, I get why people say he's a copycat McGregor, but nah, man, Ilia does his own thing. This is his own. McGregor wasn't doing the things Ilia was doing in terms of like changing his Instagram bio to like to like champion before he became champion, or putting post on Instagram saying victory, celebrating victory. Or even like having like or even having like that flair that Ilia does. Like, Ilia has like a flair to him that's like, it's a very Spanish thing, like very Spanish, that McGregor doesn't have. Obviously, McGregor is Irish, but still, like, yeah, there's similarities between the two, but there's clear differences between the two. Like Ilia has more power in lightweight than McGregor does. Clearly, he has it. It's not even a question about that. He knocked Charles out in the first round. And he knocked out Jai Herbert, which at first I was kind of dismissive of because it's Jai Herbert, and Jai Herbert is a tall, lanky lightweight who really should be a welterweight. I thought, well, yeah, you knocked out a tall, lanky guy. Of course you did. That doesn't mean you have power. That was my thought going to this fight. But after seeing this, no, Ilia's got power in his shots. Ilia is the truth. He's the real deal, man. I got to stop down Ilia. I had to stop doing it. 2 of his last 3 fights, I doubted him, and I was proven wrong. I got to stop doing it. I'm tell you what, if he fights Gaethje or Paddy Pimblett, he's gonna destroy them. He's clearly gonna destroy those two. They got no shot against him. Come on, Joe Rogan calling in Paddy Pimblett and Octagon to set up their fight because Paddy was there, and they were talking trash talking each other, which was a cool exchange. Or Paddy saying, "You're not gonna knock me out, lad. You're not gonna knock me out." As I do a terrible Paddy Pimblett impression, Ilya's saying, "I'll submit you. You ain't gonna do shit." Ilia telling fucking Paddy he's gonna freaking put his balls in Paddy's forehead. These two, if you know, those two don't like each other. It goes back to where Paddy says something about the country Georgia. about Russians invading it, something like that. And Ilia really took offense to that because Ilia was in Georgia when the Russians invaded Georgia back in '08, which that's explain the context of that. And then and then they just made sure in the hotel where they got in the fight in the hotel in England back in 2022 before UFC London in March of 2022, where I think Ilia drew a hand sanitizer bottle or vice versa. I forget, something like that. And then, of course, of that big press conference for the December card, pay per view card in 2022, where they both shit talking each other. Basically, these two don't like each other. They hate each other. They shit talk. These two clearly do not like each other. It's clear as day. And yeah, it'd be a great fight because of the anticipation and the build up to it. But let's be real. Fight wise, Ilya's going to beat the fuck out of Patty Pimblett. He got no chance, Patty. Patty leaves his chin too open. Striking still, I don't think it's improved enough against Ilia. Ilya's strong enough to deal with grappling. And as good as grappler Patty is, and he's a great grappler himself, I don't think he's going to be as strong as Charles Oliveira, as good as him. And Ilya's going to, and Patty leaves his chin open. Patty's going to, Patty leaves his chin open, and Ilya's just going to freaking crack him and beat him up badly. I just don't see Patty beating Ilia. Or Gaethje, who leaves himself wide open in strikes and shots and doesn't use wrestling. The only lightweight who I think could be Ilia and give him problems, there's only one. That's Arman Tsarukyan. That's it. Arman's the only one where I think is a 50-50 fight between him and Ilia. That's it. Other than that, Ilia beats all these other lightweights, and he's gonna beat them. Ilia's too good. He's him. I used to say Alex Pereira was him before he lost to Magomed Ankalaev, but Ilia Topuria, man, he's also been him as well. He's been him ever since he beat Volkanovski. But at this point, Ilia is him. We just got accepted. His nickname is El Matador, him, or Asesino de leyenda. I mean, that's who he is. Ilia Topuria is a special guy, legend. I mean, I think he's got a street name after him in Spain or something special did in Madrid for him. Basically, he's a rock star over there. He's hanging out with famous soccer players over there. I mean, this guy is amazing. What do you want? He's wow. Doing Charles Oliveira the way he did and knocking him out badly, he's the chosen one. And I think he probably could beat Islam in a lightweight fight. I didn't mention Islam because Islam's in welterweight. He's getting ready to fight for the welterweight title. But if he fights Islam Makhachev, I think he can knock out Islam and do well. Maybe. I think Islam is a 50-50 fight, but still, I would not be shocked because before I was skeptical. I thought, Islam's too big, Islam's too good. But at the same time, Charles, I think he can beat Islam. I'm more confident it's a more 50-50 fight than Islam beating him. I'm way more confident in Ilia Topuria, man. This is amazing, man. Ilia Topuria, man, he's a legend himself. Leyenda, he called himself briefly. And he is after this. Like, Ilia Topuria is going to be around for a while. Like, he's a superstar. He is a superstar for the UFC. I mean, when I came the next day at work, a lot of people were talking about Ilia Topuria, what he did. At least like 5 people were talking about it at my job. And it's wow. It just shows what a superstar he is. And Charles Oliveira, man, as an Oliveira fan, I was sad to see him get knocked out. It really was, but it is what it is. That's how fighting works. Charles Oliveira is still a legend, still a great fighter. Who knows how much longer he's gonna be fighting, but he's still one of the best lightweights in the world. Like, I think he beats a bunch of lightweights in the top 15. But Ilia, man, might be just bad matchup for him. Like, I just wish Charles would throw more leg kicks and not just stand in the pocket like that, like he did. I wish he would just gone for more takedown attempts and try to do more clinch work. But Ilia is just amazing, man. Hits hard to take a punch, strong, could deal with grappling, someone like Charles Oliveira, man. So, yeah, congratulations to Ilia Topuria being a lightweight champion, being, I believe, the 9th fighter to become a champion in 2 weight classes. So, shout out to him. Congrats. Who I think Ilia should fight next is Arman Tsarukyan. I know Arman missed, he pulled out last minute in January for his title fight against Islam, but he made weight in this fight. He was a backup fighter for Ilia and Charles. He made weight, actually. He's on a crazy win streak. Him and Ilia is a fun fight. That's an amazing fight. That could be, like I said, a 50-50 fight. And Dana White was not happy with Patty Pimblett being in the octagon because the UFC apparently didn't want to do that. Apparently that was not his call, so who knows? Plus, I heard Dricus du Plessis said that they're looking to do Patty Pimba and Gaethje in August in the co-main event of the 319, the Dricus Duplessis and Khamzat Chimaev card. So if that happens, then it's gotta be Ilia and Arman, which I think is a good idea. And Gaethje and Patty should fight each other in a title eliminator, because then the winner of that fight deserves a title fight next. They should do that. But yeah, that's my video. Longer than I thought, but fuck. Great event, great card, and 10 out of 10. A 9.5 out of 10 card. One of the best cards of the year. One of the best cards in a while. Amazing card. A great overall. Like the main card itself, it's more of a 8 out of 10. The overall is a 9. Now, yeah, I'm saying 9 out of 10, not 9.5. It's a 9 out of 10 card. Great card. Amazing. Excellent. Can't complain. Great performances. Gregory Rodriguez, wild brutal knockout. Jose Delgado, great performance. That knee. Payton Talbott gets a victory back. Dariush reminds people he's still around. He's still one of the best lightweights. And then, of course, the fight of the year with Royval and freaking Joshua Van. And then, of course, Pantoja just showing his dominance in that flyweight division. Maybe Van can end it. We'll see. And then, of course, Ilia Topuria, legend. Asesino de leyenda. Asesino de leyenda. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, the Spanish. Please let me know, Spanish speakers, if I'm saying it right. Please. I know I said it a few times, but I just want to say it because that's his nickname. He lives in Spain. He speaks Spanish. And I should say his nickname in Spanish. Out of respect for Ilia Topuria. Asesino de leyenda. Ilia Topuria, man. Amazing. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Have a good day. Good night. Let me know what you guys' thoughts on this card was. Wait, guys, we want to see the winners fight next. And yeah, let me know. And I look forward to it. And have a good day. Good night. I'll see you guys next time. And wow, great performance, man. Ilia, you are amazing, Ilia. I doubt you're watching this, but if you do, you are amazing. Leyenda. You are Leyenda yourself. Leyenda. Yeah. Okay, I'm saying it right. Anyway, I need to learn my Spanish. My Espanol is no bueno. Anyway, good day. Have a good night. Good day. Where time you're watching this piece.